I hate intros. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 1, Episode 1. We kick things off with the main character Takuma Sakamoto, who has the extremely original backstory of being a shut-in gamer. I'm sure the writers have good reason for giving him this backstory, and not just because it resonates so much with all of you nerds. He plays an online MMO that's super popular called Cross Reverie. Apparently he's been on that grind life for a while because he is the most powerful player on the server with his character named Diablo. Bada bing bada boom, he gets teleported in-game as his character. This is where we meet the elf with two massive personalities named Shira L. Greenwood, who is also the one claiming that she summoned him. Joining her is the cute lolly Rem Galliou, and I'm sure you guys are one step ahead of me, but you should be aware that there is only one true Rem. So when you hear people talking about Rem, they're not referring to this bitch. This is Walmart Rem, and the writers should be ashamed of tainting this sacred name. Because she's a lolly, it's my duty as an outstanding citizen of the law to find out if she's legal for you guys. So I did the research, and you hate to see it. The writer's letting us down once again by not making her some sort of weird demi-human with a couple hundred years behind her, but you know, bright side is you're gonna get your money's worth out of your yearly VPN subscription, so you'll just be happy about that. I like how most of the shows do the summoning by like a powerful nation or a group of sorcerers, but instead these guys are like, fuck it, we'll just use a girl with a huge rack and a classic anime cat girl. Now I, for one, am sure that the writers have good reason for giving Diablo these companions. It's not because it resonates so much with you nerds, no, it's more complex than that. It's not just them projecting your guys' weird fetishes on paper. No, it's an abstract web of complex ideas reflected through their work, showing definitive proof that they have mastered the art of storytelling. Don't try and take away from that because people fap to it. Don't. Back to the story. The two thought it would be a good idea to use an enslavement ritual on their new summon, which backfires because he has a ring that reflects all magic. Devs thought that item through. This, of course, reflects the ritual back onto them, so now they belong to him. Nice. This is more than he signed up for, but what a drag. The three of them have to stick together until they can find a way to dispel the enslavement, so they all head to the border city of Faltra. Once at the end, we meet a new character in Celestine Baudelaire, who is the head of this town's Mages Association. She had come looking for Rem, so everybody has to awkwardly explain that they botched a ritual, and now she's kind of a slave. She seems oddly okay with it, like, oh, Mondays, but one of her bodyguards named Galak is a huge dick and doesn't like Diablo's attitude, but nobody cares what he thinks because he's a side character, so he gets put in his place. Celestine is there to try and convince Rem to go back with her to the Mages Association headquarters, but Rem refuses, saying that she can take care of herself. And on that note, Celestine excuses herself and tells him that she will look into breaking the enslavement for them. Things take an interesting turn when Diablo takes Rem to force her to tell him what kind of trouble she's in. I'm sure all of you guys fondly remembered this rapey scene with a 14-year-old girl, but hey, if you don't, this is the gist. The soul of the demon lord Krebskullum is sealed away within her body, and apparently it's hereditary, so her mom housed the demon lord also. Krebskullum is the most powerful boss in Cross Reverie, and Rem's main goal is to defeat her and extinguish her soul. If she doesn't succeed, then after she dies, Krebskullum will be released. Diablo agrees to help her out and find a way to extract and defeat the demon lord. Some of you probably know and might be wondering why I bothered doing graphics and a proper intro for a character like Galak. Well, it's because the shithead wanted to show up at the end of the episode so that we could get our first fight sequence. He brings a squad, summons a level 30 lizard gets killed, and then we learn that Diablo is level 150. Episode 2. Start the episode off with a nice grope scene, just like it should be, and then Diablo learns from the girls that there is a divide between the humans and the demi-humans in this world, and also that Rem is a level 40 summoner. Everyone then heads to the Adventurer Guild to register and get quests for money. While there, they use a magic mirror to assess that Shira is a level 30 summoner. When they try to find out Diablo's level with the mirror, there's a strange wave, prompting the new character Sylvie, the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild, to come and investigate. Turns out he's too strong to be measured, and Sylvie is hesitant to allow him to join because they're never gonna have work appropriate for his level. He doesn't care though and joins anyways, so she gives them their first quest. They head out to defeat a Madara snake in the man-eating woods and retrieve its eyes for experiments that the Mages Association are conducting. While heading there, Diablo also learns that there's no teleporting in this world, so it differs from Cross Reverie. When they arrive, Shira can sense that somebody is nearby. Suspecting that the quest was a trap, Diablo Diablo launches an attack at the concealed party. They are revealed to be elves like Shira, and being led by a new character, Celsior. All of them had come to rescue Shira, who apparently is a noble princess in the kingdom of Greenwood. Diablo speculates that the quest was a setup by the Mages Association because Gallic holds a grudge against him. Shira doesn't want to return home because she's going to be forced to marry and bear children with somebody that she doesn't love. Diablo also realizes that nobody has been fighting in this world like in the game, which has made all of the people living there such low levels compared to him. The elves launch attacks against Diablo to take Shira back by force. They do 0 damage, so he uses an ice spell to freeze everything nearby. They start to panic. Gallic is then revealed to be behind everything, and he runs off like a little bitch. Why do they just let antagonists run off in every anime? You're level 150. Just run up and karate chop him one time, he'll blow up, and you're done with that. The elves stay behind to try and convince Shira to go home with them, but she reiterates that she's still not going back. The fight didn't really change anything, so everybody parts ways. Wrap things up with another groping scene and transition into episode 3. Everybody meets up with Sylvie again because she has another quest specifically for Diablo. This time the quest is coming directly from Celestine, so at least they know that it's not another trap. Rem doesn't really like the idea of working for Celestine because she feels like Celestine is trying to indirectly help her out, so she decides to stay behind in the city while Diablo and Shiro go handle it. They are tasked with bringing items to the bridge of Uluk. Diablo is apparently starting to get a reputation, so he is approached by a new character in Emil Bitchelberger. Bitchberger is said to be the strongest warrior in the Adventurers Guild, sitting at a whopping level 50, and thinks that Rem and Shira were enslaved by Diablo. Being the self-proclaimed simp to all women, he tries to set them free through a duel. Obviously, it's one-sided, but the girls do put a stop to it before anybody can get hurt in order to explain the situation. Once he had realized that Diablo is just a fellow simp, the two make peace, and Bitchberger decides to part ways with the group. Diablo and Shira then head out to complete their quest, and when they arrive at the bridge of Uluk, the soldiers there seem to be on guard against something. Apparently, they had received reports of an army with over 100 Fallen that are heading their way. The Fallen were treated as boss monsters in Cross Reverie, but Diablo has never heard of them attacking in mass. Rumors have it that the Fallen are hoping to revive the Demon Lord, Crepskullum, so they might eventually target Rem. This is enough incentive for Diablo to offer up his help in defeating the approaching army. When the army arrives, Diablo is forced to stand against them by himself because everybody else is pretty fucking useless. Now we jump on over to Rem, who gets visited by Celestine. She tells the Walmart Rem that they had discharged Gallic from the association because he was the one that had targeted them with the fake quest. Speak of the devil, Gallic then busts in on their talk and seems to be relatively distraught with the decision to make him leave the association. He starts to get a bit cringe while begging Celestine to reconsider. It's like, pull yourself together, man. What the fuck is this? After the 2-year-old's done throwing his tantrum, he decides to stab himself with some creepy looking blade, and he ends up turning into a Fallen named Gregor. Back on over to Diablo, who has defeated around 30 of the Fallen, which prompts the commander of the army to approach him. Edelgard is the strongest and the thickest of the Fallen, so she prepares to fight with Diablo one-on-one. He concludes that if he can defeat her, then it's likely the battle will just end, as the two square off in the last scene. Episode 4. Rem and Celestine are forced to flee from the Fallen, which is when Burger Bitch's simp senses start tingling, so he steps in to save them. Even after realizing that he's pretty outmatched by the Fallen, he still tries his best to protect the girls, like any good simp would. Meanwhile, Diablo is getting his biggest challenge yet, realizing that Edelgard is level 80. As her trump card, she uses her Sacrificial Charge ability. This ability marks the first time that Diablo has taken damage in this world since he had arrived. Diablo then gets the news that Rem and Celestine are being targeted by a Fallen, so he decides that he needs to wrap this fight up. He uses White Nova, which pretty much levels everything in front of him, but conveniently leaves the only hot Fallen alive and without clothes. So yeah. Deciding that there's no other way to get back to the city in time, Diablo tries teleporting magic, which ends up working, getting him back to Rem. Bitchenberger was the only one left to fight and on his last legs when Diablo arrives. Diablo steps in and quickly defeats the Fallen, banishing him to the Shadow Dimension for eternity. Unlike in the game, characters killed don't come back to life, so everybody in the city who was killed by Gregor are buried 3 days later. More titty filler content. Then Sylvie comes in to tell Diablo that the Lord of Faltra City has received demands from the Elven Kingdom, saying that Shira has to be handed over within 10 days. If the demands aren't met, then war might be declared between the two powers. Sylvie gives him the quest of preventing the war to maintain the peace. Episode 5. They learn that Shira has a bounty for her return, so they can never really feel safe anymore. Diablo then goes to meet with Lieutenant General Chester Ray Galford, the leader of Feltra and the one who made the quest for Diablo to prevent the war. He confirms that Shira isn't going anywhere and that Diablo will find another way to prevent the war. In response to this, Galford introduces yet another cutie chan in Alicia Cristella, an Imperial knight who is assigned to help them in their task. Everybody heads to a weaponsmith because Diablo wants to get a weaker weapon to wield. It would cause problems if he accidentally killed a person, so he wants to nerf his stats a bit. While collecting other supplies, men try to abduct Shira for the bounty. The gender-specific K9 meat patty steps in to aid in the rescue, and the bounty hunters are subdued. After that, everybody gets ready to head through the Elves' Forest and meet with Shira's older brother to prevent the war. Episode 6. Celestine meets with them to tell them that she may have found a way to remove the slave collars and set the girls free. A slave caravan had arrived at the city, so they go to see if they can find out more about the collars. When they arrive, they meet the owner Medios in order to ask her if she knows a way to remove the enslavement. Medios can see people's flow of magic, so she recognizes that Diablo is extremely strong and that Rem is giving off some sort of sinister magic. Rem isn't feeling so hot after that and is anxious that she'll be found out. To calm her down, Alicia offers to use a charm that will help conceal secrets when they're about to be exposed. When she does, there's some sort of alarming reaction, but she doesn't mention it to Rem. Diablo works with Shira and Medios in some perverted test to try and release the collar. He hits a roadblock because he can't see the flow of magic power coming from the enslavement collars. They're like threads of yarn, all tangled together, and to release the enslavement, he has to unravel all of them piece by piece. It proved to be too difficult, so they had to take a break. While talking in their room, they hear a flute outside, which cues the entrance of Shira's older brother, Kira L. Greenwood, the first prince of the Kingdom of Greenwood. He seems peaceful and says that his father was worried about Shira, but they don't want to go to war over it. Both parties agree to meet the next day and let Shira decide if she wants to return or not. In the last couple of scenes, Kira seems to be up to something, saying that Shira, his sister, will bear his child, meaning that Greenwood is this world's Alabama. Episode 7. While Shira and Diablo are making potions the next day, they suddenly hear Kira's flute. Shira becomes brainwashed and says that she's going back home with Kira. Diablo had said before that he would respect her decision no matter what it was, so he tells the others that he's not going to intervene. After some reflection, he decides that they're all friends there, so he can't just let her get fucked by her brother, so him, Rem, and Alicia all go to get her back. We then hop over to Shira and Kira, who are still making their journey back. Kira starts getting kinda rapey and uses some slime to undress her, which cues the entrance of Diablo. He uses the magic in the enslavement collar to demand her to tell him how she really feels. This circumvents the brainwashing, and she tells him that she wants to be free and stay with him and Rem. In response to this, Kira summons a Force Hydra to kill Diablo. Episode 8. Cross Reverie never had a summon like this, and it's supposed to be banned in this world because it has the potential to destroy the entire world. The Hydra is powerful and has the ability to regenerate, but Shira tells him that there is a core inside that moves throughout its entire body. If he can destroy it, then the Hydra will be forced to return to its crystal. That wasn't really relevant information though, because he just blows the entire thing up and puts an end to the fight. As he gets ready to kill Kira, Shira steps in to stop him because they're still family. So he lets the perv go as he runs off into the forest. That doesn't last too long as Galford decapitates him and reveals he has an invisible army with him. Galford had decided that it was war as soon as elvish soldiers had entered his land. Before Diablo can do anything, he is captured inside a spell that he doesn't recognize from the game. Alicia tries to stand up to him, but he breaks her blade, revealing that he's on another level and she can't win. Their plan is to take Shira hostage, but Diablo had managed to find the source of the magic creating the barrier the same way he attempted with the collars and breaks it. This leads to a little skirmish between Diablo and Galford. Galford is over level 120 and gives Diablo a run for his money, but ultimately loses in the end, forcing them to withdraw. In the end, the only casualty was the incestuous pervert, so all in all, pretty good day. Diablo is pretty drained of MP after that, so while resting, Sylvie brings him some alcohol to restore some of it. He's a bit of a lightweight, so he gets wasted and gropes Sylvie. He better pray to God there's no Me Too movement in this world. Episode 9. While Alicia is reporting back to the higher-ups about the Greenwood incident, we meet a new character in Sadler. During their talk, we learn that Sadler is going to Faltra also. Apparently, the head priest, Lumachina, revealed a prophecy saying there are omens of the Demon Lord's revival in the Western City. Since he is a paladin, he's going to investigate this. The classic bathing scene gets interrupted by Edelgard, who comes across them. She had heard that Rem is carrying Crepusculum, and by touching her, she confirms that it's true. Turns out the Fallen can't just kill her to release it. There's more to it in order to summon Crepusculum, so Edelgard doesn't want to hurt her. Edelgard then agrees to teach them a summoning ritual to bring out Crepusculum since they both want the demon soul out of Rem's body. They agree to meet in 3 days at Starfall Tower, where summonings are conducted in order to perform the ritual. When they get back to town, Alicia finds them. She warns them that Sadler is there, and that he's over level 100, so he's just as strong or stronger than Galford. While heading to get somewhere safe, they conveniently run into Sadler and his men. Rem starts to get a little bit lippy with him, so he starts casting a spell on her, claiming it's the power of God. Diablo can see that is really just a low-level spell, and when he points this out, Sadler targets him instead. He uses Cement Lock, but Diablo's ring deflects it, turning Sadler to stone instead. The spell is gonna wear off eventually, so we can expect to see him again, but for now, his men carry him off. Before everyone heads out to go to Starfall Tower, they decide to tell Alicia the truth about Rem and Crepusculum. Episode 10. When they arrive at the tower, Edelgard tells them that Diablo needs to pour his magic into the Demon Lord to hasten the resurrection. He tries doing it through her stomach, but his power can't reach, so the natural thing to do is to finger Rem so that he can get closer to her insides. Look. It's not that weird. They just gotta get the magic in there. Don't make it weird. It's fine. I mean, it's just magic. There's nothing. Like, this looks bad, but I didn't know that this happened in the show before I started covering it. But I've come too far and I put too much time and effort, so I'm gonna cover it anyways. And you're gonna fucking like it. So what I'm confused about is how you pitch this to people, because I'm guessing somebody had to go into a room full of suits and just be like, look. She needs the magic, so this is how we're gonna do it. Anyways, the Demon Lord is summoned, and it turns out to be another little lolly. Get this? He has to finger her too. No, I'm just fucking around. He doesn't have to finger her yet, but still early in the show. I mean, that's the exciting part. We don't know who's getting fingered or when. You get some finger magic, and you get some finger magic. Look, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I felt really fucking weird watching the show. I was like, what the fuck is happening? But let's not get distracted from the dense plot unfolding. Diablo is ready for the final boss fight, but turns out she doesn't remember why she wanted to kill the mortal races before. Isn't that fucking convenient, guys? Now the lolly could just join up with everybody else. They're like, look, you can't kill anybody, okay? She's like, alright, I mean, fuck it. And then crisis averted. They give her some snacks and everybody becomes friends. But then the group is approached by the new face in Rex, who serves the Demon Lords. He's the oldest and the strongest of all of the Fallen and wants to kill everybody Crepusculum is traveling with. She asks him not to because she wants more treats. She can't have him killing her source of treats. Once Rex hears that she just wants treats, he decides that she needs to be reincarnated again because she's incomplete. This leads to a fight between him and Diablo, which he quickly realizes he can't win because of Diablo's ring. He instead targets Crepusculum, but Rem jumps in and saves her, leading to them becoming closer. After taking another shot from Diablo, Rex decides to retreat since Diablo is too strong. When they get back, Edelgard can't go into the city because she's a Fallen, so she stays behind to wait Crepusculum's return. Everybody has to dry hump Diablo to restore his MP, naturally, don't think about it. And in the last couple of scenes, we see that Alicia has a hidden agenda of getting Crepusculum to destroy the mortal races. Episode 11. Celestine is informed about the Demon Lord, and she agrees not to do anything because Crepusculum isn't a threat. While walking, Alicia lures Crepusculum and Rem away from Diablo and Shira. Alicia plans to restore the Demon Lord's memories and completely awaken her. It's also revealed that she was actually the one who gave Gallic the sword that was disguised as Gregor. When Sadler comes across them, Alicia lies, saying that Rem is a Demon Lord worshipper and she rescued a little girl from them. Rem tries to fight against him, but is choked and passes out. out. When she wakes up, her and Crepusculum had been in prison. The two have a bonding moment or whatever where Rem requests that Crepusculum never kill anyone. They arrive at a church where Sadler plans to torture them. Diablo gets help from Bitchburger and Sylvie where he learns Rem's location. Meanwhile, Edelgard had just arrived outside the city with the massive army of Fallen, so Celestine has to use her barrier to keep them out. As the torture starts to get underway, Crepusculum tries to convince Rem to let her intervene. When the guards go to push her away, she's revealed to be a Fallen, so they attack her. In order to keep her from fighting back, Rem jumps in front of the attack and is injured. She begs Crepusculum not to hurt anyone, and then Sadler turns her into a pincushion, killing her. This is all a part of Alicia's plan, because the hatred that comes from seeing this causes Crepusculum to lose control and take on her final boss form. She quickly kills Sadler while he's monologuing, and then Diablo arrives on the scene. He tells Shira to take his potions and help Rem, while he holds off Crepusculum. Episode 12. Alicia had been working with Edelgard from the beginning, and everything is going according to their plan. Shira is able to heal Rem, but it costs them all of their potions, so Diablo doesn't have any way to regen if he's injured. Diablo uses Apocalypse Abyss, which is a massive spell that nearly brings down Crepusculum. This calms her down enough to realize that Rem had been saved, and once she learns this, she turns back into a lolly. Edelgard and Alicia are then targeted by the Fallen because of their failure, so they're forced to flee to the city. Because Crepusculum is now obviously a liability, they need some way to guarantee the safety of everybody around her, so Diablo casts an enslavement spell on her, and she officially joins the group. As they're getting ready for bed, Alicia pops in and takes Shira hostage. She had come to them to request that Crepusculum heal Edelgard because she was injured while fleeing from the Fallen. Of course, she agrees to this, and after she's healed, she agrees to follow Crepusculum's orders, so they keep her around. We then learn that Alicia had become a Demon Lord worshipper because she hated self-centered, greedy, powerful, and entitled people that pretended to be good. With all this hatred building up, she just wanted to kill them all. Now that everything had fallen through, she decides that she will just kill herself. Diablo prevents the suicide, everybody forgives her, so she'll be sticking around also. I'm gonna be doing the next season, and you can find that on the left side whenever I'm finished with it, or you can check out all the How to Summon a Demon Lord recaps in the playlist on the right side. You can also find the links in the description below, and the only thing I hate more than intros is outros.